If you grew up watching Glamour Girls, you know it wasn't just a movie, it was a whole vibe. The fashion, the drama, the scandal, the unforgettable one-liners. It had us hooked. It gave us a peek into the glossy and gritty lives of high society women chasing power and survival in a man's world. But what happened after the movie? Let's look at the cast of Glamour Girls and where they are now. At number 18, we have Liz Benson. If you watched Glamour Girls back in the day, chances are she was the one that left you wide-eyed with her grace, mystery, and that unforgettable stare that felt like it saw through your TV screen into your soul. She played Jane, the senior girl, with a perfect blend of elegance and edge. Jane wasn't just a beautiful woman floating through high society parties, she was layered. She had pain, power, and presence. You could feel the quiet storm behind her poise, and that was all Liz Benson. Liz Benson didn't just appear out of nowhere in Glamour Girls. Long before that, she was already flexing her acting chops on the popular TV soap Fortunes, where she played Mrs. Agnes Johnson. That was one of the defining television experiences of the early 90s in Nigeria. But it was Glamour Girls that really turned her into a screen goddess, and she didn't disappoint. But just when we thought she was going to keep dominating Nollywood forever, Liz did something unexpected. She took a step back. Life hit hard. She lost her first husband, Samuel Atim, and that shook her to the core. She disappeared from the public eye for a while, and when she re-emerged, she was transformed, born again, focused, spiritually grounded. She left behind the glitz of the movie industry for a time and went full-time into evangelism with her second husband, Bishop Great Amaya. Together, they started the Freedom Family Assembly, where Liz wasn't on camera anymore. She was in church, preaching, mentoring, and living out a calling far away from the bright lights. But as every true artist knows, you can't keep the craft buried forever. Slowly, Liz started returning to Nollywood, but this time she was very selective. No more seductive roles or chaotic characters. She was picking films that reflected her new life and her beliefs. By 2024, fans were buzzing again when she was spotted on set for A Mother's Son, marking a new era for her acting journey. It's wild when you think about it. She went from being the face of glamour to becoming a spiritual leader, then circled back as a Nollywood elder stateswoman with purpose and poise. That's a whole life arc. Next up at number 17, we have Jennifer Okiri. If you don't remember her, it's because her time with us was tragically short. But make no mistake, Jennifer burned bright. In Glamour Girls, she played Sandra, one of the younger, more naive women trying to make it in the dangerous waters of Lagos high society. Sandra was ambitious but also soft-hearted, and Jennifer played her with the kind of vulnerability that made your heart ache. Jennifer had that classic Nollywood beauty, soft eyes, gentle smile, but she was also fierce in a way that didn't scream at you. It was in the eyes, the posture, the slight tilt of the head when a character betrayed her. You could feel the pain, the quiet rebellion simmering under the surface. That role in Glamour Girls was iconic for many reasons, but most of all because Jennifer got it right. She wasn't just a one-film wonder either. She starred in Living in Bondage, the 1992 hit that basically launched Nollywood. That film was the blueprint. Jennifer was there at the very beginning, laying the foundation. But just as she was really getting her momentum, the unthinkable happened. She passed away in 1999. The loss sent shockwaves through the industry. She was only 30 then. At number 16, we have Gloria Young. She played Doris in Glamour Girls, and if you remember Doris, then you remember that unforgettable blend of sarcasm, survival instincts, and street smarts. She was the big sister energy of the group, wise, protective, and never caught sleeping. But Gloria didn't even start her career as an actress. She was out here writing columns and chasing news stories as a journalist. She worked with the Daily Times as an energy correspondent. She pivoted into acting in the early 90s, and Glamour Girls was her launch pad. After the movie, Gloria stayed in the game. Unlike many of her peers who disappeared for a while, she remained consistent, whether it was motherly roles, business tycoons, or tough love aunties. Gloria gave it her all. She's acted in over 70 films and counting. And it's not just about quantity, the quality of her performances is sharp. One thing that's always made Gloria stand out is her honesty. She's been very open about her personal struggles, especially her journey with childlessness. For 7 years, she and her husband, Norbert Young, who is also an actor, tried to start a family. During that time, she faced pressure from all sides: family, society, even fans, but she didn't fold. She's spoken publicly about the pain, the prayers, the pressure, and how love got them through it. That kind of openness is rare in Nollywood, and it made people respect her even more. Fast forward to recent years. Gloria showed up strong again in the hit streaming series Diche in 2022. Fans were like, she still got it, and she really does. Gloria Young is a blueprint for longevity. She came in strong, stayed relevant, and never lost her voice along the way. At number 15, we have Ngozi Ezeonu. If there was ever a woman who made playing a mother look like an art form, it's her. But before she became the queen of motherly roles, she was Thelma in Glamour Girls, a character dripping with elegance, mystery, and subtle rebellion. Thelma wasn't the loudest in the room, but she commanded attention just by existing. Her path into Nollywood wasn't the usual route. She studied journalism at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism and worked with Radio Lagos and Eko FM before trading in the newsroom for the film set. Big break came in 1993 with Nneka the Pretty Serpent, where she played Nkechi, but it was Glamour Girls the next year that really carved her name into Nollywood marble. From there, she leaned into what would become her signature, the noble, firm, emotionally intelligent mother. She took what could have been a flat stereotype and turned it into something regal. She has acted in over 200 films over the years. Off-screen, her life has had its chapters too. She was married to Edwin Ezeonu and had 4 children, but like many in the spotlight, her personal life saw its twists and turns. She later received the chieftaincy title Adife, which means daughter of light. She's literally been that for Nollywood, a beacon, a standard, a light. And while other actresses faded with time, Ngozi adapted. She embraced the modern Nollywood wave, Netflix, digital films, web series, and kept her crown in place the entire way. As of 2025, she's not just a legacy figure, she's still working, still acting, still the matriarch of a new era. At number 14, we have Barbara Odo. Her role as Helen wasn't just a character, she was a sharp blade in silk gloves. Helen, a high-end escort chasing affluence, didn't play by anyone's rules but her own. She seduced, deceived, and blackmailed her way through Lagos, decadent elites with a cold-eyed precision. She always confronts a client who refuses to pay, twisting the scenario into a criminal accusation, weaponizing gender, power, and status in one slick move. It was daring and complex and spoke to a larger truth about survival in a world that rewarded appearance over integrity. And yet, after such a strong performance in one of Nollywood's landmark films, Barbara Odo acted in some movies in the late 90s and early 2000s before going off the spotlight. Today, she's an evangelist and a business consultant. In some ways, her life mirrors the story she portrayed: bright lights, brief fame, and then silence. Whether it was a personal choice or a lack of opportunity in a growing but male-dominated industry, Barbara Odo remains one of Nollywood's most mysterious one-hit wonders. At number 13, we have Zack Ogie. He brought a necessary coolness and gravitas to Glamour Girls. As Fred, he was the type of man who knew everyone, attended all the right parties, and said little, but when he spoke, it mattered. He was enmeshed in the world of rich men's games and beautiful women's ambitions, a counterbalance to the feminine force driving the movie. Fred symbolized the enabling arm of patriarchy, sometimes complicit, sometimes just caught in the whirlwind. But Ogie's legacy doesn't stop there. Far from it. After Glamour Girls, he morphed into one of Nollywood's most prolific and respected actors. He starred in more than 250 films, including the iconic Blood Money in 1997. He wasn't just a pretty face on the poster either. He began directing, making waves behind the scenes. Then came a second act even more surprising than his on-screen performances: ministry. He became a born-again Christian and eventually a pastor, taking his charismatic presence from film sets to pulpits. But unlike some who abandoned their past, Zack balanced both lives. He preached while still acting and even became an advocate for people with disabilities. He served as president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, was politically vocal, notably backing Bola Tinubu in the 2023 election, and as of 2025 remains active in acting, philanthropy, and religious services. Living in Nigeria with his wife Ngozi and their 3 children, Ogie is proof that glamour doesn't end, it just evolves. At number 12, we have Ukira Anunobi. In Glamour Girls, Ukira Anunobi played Anita and delivered a character who straddled power, sensuality, and sharp intelligence. She didn't whisper her ambition, she wore it like perfume. Every line from Anita felt calculated and electric, giving audiences a character who both rebelled against and reigned within the expectations of Nigerian womanhood in the 90s. And Ukira Anunobi didn't stop there. Her post-Glamour Girls career was expansive, intense, and profoundly human. She starred in more than 90 films, including sequels like Glamour Girls 2, thrillers like Abuja Connection, and emotional gems like Letters to a Stranger. Her acting style evolved but always held that edge, that bite. Then in 2012, in another bold twist, she became a pastor, not just in name but in action. Sermons, conferences, and spiritual counseling. This pivot wasn't an exit from Nollywood but a dual calling. Alongside her ministry, she earned a PhD in Christian education and ministerial arts in 2021 and continued to act alongside other Nollywood greats. Tragedy shadowed her too. In 2017, her only child, Raymond, passed away at 15 due to sickle cell disease, a loss that nearly shattered her. Her 2000 to 2006 marriage ended in divorce, and she has spoken candidly about emotional trauma and healing. Yet, she has emerged as a pillar of strength, often offering advice on relationships, self-worth, and spiritual resilience. As of 2025, Ukira is back on screen, back behind the pulpit, and perhaps most importantly, still herself, bold, brilliant, and unbroken. At number 11 is Tina Amuzia. She played Jessica, confident, calculating, and streetwise character. She was one of the film's troublemakers, shaking tables in elite circles, forcing confrontations, and demanding space. After Glamour Girls, Tina appeared in some major productions again from the late 90s through 2010s. She acted in movies like Dangerous Sisters alongside Genevieve Nnaji, Tony Umez, and other notable names. But after the mid-2010s, she's drifted from the Nollywood scene and appeared in lesser roles. Next up at number 10, we have Clarion Chukura. She played Vera in Glamour Girls, anchoring every scene she appeared in, poised, razor sharp, and deeply intuitive. Her character seemed to rise above the chaos while still being dangerously close to it. In a film overflowing with bold appearances, bold performances, Clarion felt rooted in something deeper, experience. That's no surprise. By the time she appeared in Glamour Girls, she was already a veteran. Her breakout role in Mirror in the Sun back in the 80s made her a household name, and she went on to become the first Nigerian actress to win the Best Actress at FESPACO in 1982. Her life beyond film is equally layered. She's been a UN Peace Ambassador, a tireless humanitarian, and a vocal advocate for African social development. She has starred in films across decades and stayed deeply involved in advocacy work. In her personal life, she has had her share of reinvention. She is mother to music video director Clarence Peters, wife to Anthony Boyd, which is her third marriage, and as of 2016, a convert to Jehovah's Witness. Her public statements today often lead toward quiet faith, peace, and legacy. Still active as of 2025, Clarion continues to appear in productions and remains one of the few Nollywood pioneers who has kept a strong, unshaken presence over 4 decades. She is, quite literally, royalty in the house that Glamour Girls helped build. At number 9, we have Dolly Unachuko. Her portrayal of Maureen in Glamour Girls 2 is still one of the most hauntingly cold characters in Nollywood's early years. Maureen wasn't just a villain, she was an architect of destruction. Draped in designer clothes, oozing fake charm, she ran a sex trafficking ring under the guise of overseas job placements, manipulating young women and conning their families with heartless precision. And Dolly didn't flinch once. She carried the role with this stone-cold calm, as if Maureen's soul had already died long before the film began. You couldn't look away. But what's wild is that long before she scared us as Maureen, Dolly had already secured her place in the Nigerian entertainment world. Back in the 80s, she was part of the Mirror in the Sun, a landmark Nigerian soap opera. Then came Fortunes in 1993, where she played Fadike, another iconic character who showed her range. Dolly was one of the earliest actresses in Nigeria who genuinely felt international, even back then. After Glamour Girls, she pivoted a bit. In 1997, she made Wilder's Dream, a semi-autobiographical film that opened the door into her personal life, her first failed marriage, and all the trauma that came with it. It was bold and raw, a step not many would take, especially in an era when public vulnerability wasn't fashionable. Then came the 2000s. Dolly packed up and moved to the UK for marriage number 2, but that didn't work out either. The marriage barely lasted and she found herself restarting life in a new country. But Dolly, even the survivor, chose growth. She enrolled at the University of East London, and by 2008 she bagged a degree in film and video. While in the UK, she kept working on indie projects, The Empire in 2005, Sisters Love in 2008, and even even a 2022 piece called Private Matters. Not the kind of mainstream returns fans dreamed of, but it showed she still had that creative flame. In 2016, she married for the third time, this time to a pastor, Dr. Olanio. These days, she goes by Dolly Unachuko Olanio, even though she divorced again in 2015. She lives in London, still raising her kids, still carrying that balance between motherhood and storytelling. She hasn't fully returned to Nollywood, but she talks about it openly. At number 8, we have Remy Abola. She played one of the original party girls in Glamour Girls, and while the role was relatively brief, her presence was magnetic. She had that blend of older sister sass and sultry charisma, the kind that told you she wasn't new to this life. Her scenes may not have dominated the screen time, but the added flavor, a reminder that the nightlife in the Glamour Girls world was as layered as it was dangerous. Remy's story outside the screen is even more compelling. Born in 1952, she was originally a flight attendant, a classy jet-setting woman before glamour even became a word to flaunt in Nollywood. She later trained in dramatic arts in the UK and brought that polish into her acting. Her performances always carried a subtle refinement. She acted in several significant films in the 2000s, including Oduduwa, The Narrow Path, and Aruba. These were not your average VHS-era flicks. They were often rooted in Yoruba traditions, cultural themes, and social commentary. She worked alongside legends and never once seemed out of place. She wasn't flashy, she was solid, dependable, the kind of actress whose roles might not scream for attention but linger with you longer than you expect. Remy was also the wife of Moshood Abiola, a prominent businessman and political figure, adding another layer of complexity to her public life. Sadly, in 2009, she passed away from cancer in New York at 57. Her death came as a quiet heartbreak in Nollywood circles. At number 7, we have Thelma Nwosu. She played the role of Laura, one of the young girls who was recruited to become a call girl. Laura didn't have the most screen time, but in every scene she appeared, she radiated the composure of someone who had seen things, a woman surviving, adapting, and profiting of the transactional realities of our world. The character may have been soft-spoken, but there was steel behind her eyes. Off-screen, Thelma Nwosu was just getting started. Born Thelma Umunoma Umi Nwosu, she was far more than a pretty face in a bold 90s wardrobe. She holds a BA in Theatre Arts from the University of Port Harcourt, majoring in film directing, a fact that often surprises fans who assume she came in purely as an actress. She also took formal diplomas in acting and voiceover, which helped her pivot into multiple entertainment roles over the years. After Glamour Girls, she continued her run in the 1996 sequel and expanded her resume to include dozens of TV series, soap operas, and films. By 2020, she had chalked up over 26 years in the industry, a rare feat. In recent years, she has been seen in the period telenovela Riona and 2023 drama Love Like That, which introduced her to a new generation of fans. These days, she's not only an actress but also a model, voice artist, motivational speaker, and a devoted Christian and mother. At number 6, we have Raymon Johnson. He played one of the film's most infuriating characters, Alex, the sleek presidential aspirant who lured Jane, played by Liz Benson, into a luxurious trap. With all his charm and big promises, Alex seemed like the dream man until the mask slipped and he was revealed as a cold, calculating conman. His betrayal not only crushed Jane emotionally but served as one of the film's most cautionary arcs. But while Alex made a lasting impression in the film, Raymon Johnson's own trail seems to have gone cold. Unlike many of his co-stars, he didn't keep a long-standing public presence in Nollywood. His name rarely surfaces in interviews, retrospectives, or major media coverage. He worked in ways that kept him out of the spotlight. Whatever the case, his on-screen legacy remains as one of Nollywood's earliest, most memorable deceivers. At number 5, we have Shala Futo. He played Desmond. He was the safe bet, the wealthy fiancé of Jane. Desmond represented stability, that is, until life came for him hard. A tragic accident left him paralyzed and unemployed, unraveling everything he had built. Jane, under pressure, made desperate choices, and their relationship spiraled into heartbreak. Shala Futo portrayed Desmond with understated elegance and quiet strength and is a veteran of the Nigerian stage and screen. Even before Glamour Girls, Futo was already respected in academic and dramatic circles. Post-film, he stayed mostly within television and stage-based performances, especially in Yoruba language productions, and occasionally featured in English language dramas. Futo has acted in many notable films in the course of his very long career. He is known for choosing roles that are intellectually grounded and socially relevant, which may be why he never became a celebrity in the tabloid sense, but always remained respected in the arts community. In later years, he balanced acting with academia. He is known to have taught at Lagos State University, where he became a respected lecturer and eventually a professor. Not every Nollywood star ends up with a tenure track, but then again, not every actor is Shala Futo. At number 4, we have JT Tom West. He didn't need a full hour of screen time to leave a mark. His role as the suave, well-dressed software entrepreneur who picks up Helen, played by Barbara Odo, in a high-end hotel lobby was brief but electric. His presence felt lifted out of a romance novel or a Richard Gere film. Their whirlwind fling, with all the pretty women energy, was one of the few hopeful romantic arcs in a movie filled with double crosses and shattered dreams. JT Tom West had more to offer than good looks and screen charm. A favorite in action-packed Nollywood films of the late 90s and early 2000s, he often played tough guys, playboys, or gangsters. But beyond that, he had a gentleness that made him a favorite among female fans and a surprising versatility that made him trusted by directors. Tragically, his life was cut short in 2009. JT Tom West died in a car accident following a movie shoot, news that sent shockwaves through the Nollywood community. He was just 41. The exact details remain somewhat murky, but it's widely believed that a combination of road fatigue and inadequate emergency care played a role. At number 3, we have Peter Buno. He played Isiri. He was a symbol of fading power in Glamour Girls, a rich banker who swept Sandra off her feet with his luxury and promises. He quickly found himself edged out by the younger but more charming Dennis. His character arc spoke to the fleeting nature of wealth and desirability, especially in a city like Lagos. Peter Buno was a familiar face in early Nollywood. His refined looks and controlled delivery made him a go-to actor for authority figures and high-class roles. After Glamour Girls, though, Peter Buno's presence dwindled. He faced health challenges in later life, including a reported stroke, which made it difficult for him to continue acting. Tragically, he passed away in May 2015. He was 60. In his final years, he voiced frustration with the Nigerian film industry, which he felt had forgotten its veterans. That bitterness was echoed by many early Nollywood stars who helped build the industry but received little institutional support as they aged. At number 2, we have Pat Atta. He played Dennis, who had ambition. Younger, hungrier, and emotionally available, Dennis was the man who eventually won Sandra's heart, proof that love, not just luxury, had a place in the Glamour Girls world. Pat Atta's boyish good looks and vulnerable intensity made him a breakout star. He rode that way for years. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Pat Atta was one of Nollywood's most in-demand romantic leads. Women adored him, men admired him, and his roles always seemed to straddle charm and sincerity. But in 2005, he made a surprising move. He left Nigeria and relocated to Germany. The decision was personal, spiritual, and a little mysterious. While in Germany, he reportedly explored music and photography and lived a quieter, more reflective life. He returned to Nigeria occasionally and eventually re-engaged with the industry. In recent years, he has taken on a few film roles and spoken publicly about his journey, faith, and reasons for leaving the spotlight. Pat Atta may have stepped away, but he never truly disappeared. At number 1, we have Kepi Ekpeyong. He played Helen's older brother in Glamour Girls, a voice of reason in a movie filled with chaos. His short scene was enough to ground the film in family dynamics and reminded viewers that some characters still lived within a moral compass. Unlike many of his co-stars, Kepi never stopped working. A consummate professional, he has remained a fixture in Nollywood from classic home videos to modern streaming era blockbusters. Some of his highlights include 93 Days, Hire a Man, and the stylish reboot Nneka the Pretty Serpent. He played a significant role in Blood Sisters in 2022, a Netflix production that introduced him to Gen Z audiences, and appeared in King of Boys, The Return of the King as well. In 2023 and 2024, he continued his streak with a appearances in Tenny's Big Day and the biopic Funmilayo Ransom Kuti. In recognition of his immense contributions, he received Lifetime Achievement Awards from both the Actors Guild of Nigeria and City People's Award. Kepi, now in his 60s, remains one of Nollywood's most respected elder statesmen.